welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, by my side, long-time companion and podcast bro, Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Just thought I'd give you the extended intro.
Why
there,
not?
Trev. Yeah,
I'll take it.
Have a bit of fun with it. What are we doing tonight, Trevor?
I think we're going to play some ramped up click pitch, just because.
Oh, ramped up. Oh, I'm not prepared for that. Yeah, okay, ramped up. Now I am.
That was
quick.
I wasn't going to, but then I'm like, no, we haven't done this for a while, so why not? Let's have some fun.
That's it. So for those who might be joining us for the first time here in the mid-300s, ramped up click pitch. Yeah, welcome first. Firstly, welcome. But just so you know, Ramped Up Click Pitch is a game where we each have a random phrase generator in front of us, and on the count of 3, 2, 1, click, we each get an adjective and a noun, throw them up in the air, spin them around like a big old pizza pie, and
cook it up
on some
for
toppings. And it's a video game. We make a video game. With the idea of a video game. We don't make a video game.
We don't make a video game.
Sometimes we do, but like not every week. Jeez, what do you want from us? All right, let's do it.
3, 2, 1, click.
Displayed clock.
Stoniest foil.
Foil.
Foil. F-O-I-L.
The stoniest foil. With a displayed clock. So displayed clock makes me think maybe this is like like 24 or something, right? Like there's a constant countdown going. Or just maybe it's not a countdown necessarily, but at least like the time.
Yeah,
the time is a constant.
You know what would be cool? You know that whole thing where the vision seems to shift and like the clock is in the corner and then that shifts out and then maybe it'll appear up the top or something like that, and the
the split screen,
in the split screen sort of stuff. Yeah. I kind of love that idea that as you're playing through the game and you move between scenes, it like something will move out, and like the part that you just moved out of may move into a smaller section where you can still see some stuff going on there, but the clock keeps on ticking away.
The clock just finds a spot wherever on the screen that makes sense. But yeah, it might. You come into a new area, you cross from one pane to the other, and that other pane starts to shrink down. But if there's still some relevant...
Not all the way, because you may actually look back over and it's like, oh, at 5 minutes past the hour, the shift change is actually occurring. So you see the guard sort of going between.
Right, yeah, for a stealth game, or like I was thinking like defusing a bomb or something, or like having to, something that you need to kind of keep an eye on elsewhere in the level.
There's still stuff happening in the world, and there's like, you can, like at the start, I think, in these early levels, it's sort of determined what will actually be kept and all this sort of stuff. But later on, you can actually go, oh, I want to pin this one, and it'll focus on...
Yeah, it'll keep those when you leave. So yeah, I'm kind of picturing like each sort of, not level, but like each screen of the game kind of takes up a certain amount of space maybe in the middle of the screen. Like it's sort of a long letterboxed, screen, or it may just depend on what other things you've got pinned, but it's designed in a way that it can be either. And so like, you might go down a ladder that's at the bottom of the screen, and if it's not a pinned one, it'll just like scroll up as like a normal one might do, and you sort of see the next section. But if it is sort of something that you need to keep an eye on, you go down that ladder and it sort of smoothly, as you start going down, it smoothly pans it up. And as you go further down the ladder, like the top ones, shrinking into just the focus area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can picture that really well.
Yeah. And, obviously 2D art style and all this sort of stuff, but it's stylized.
Yeah, I'm picturing like a, what was that one, Gunbrella. Not Gunbrella. Not the one that came out today. No,
when we're
the one where you could
yes.
throw people out windows. Tom
Clancy's...
Not Tom... No, not Tom Clancy. Gunbound. I think it was called Gunbound.
Never
the guy
played
who
it.
did that spaceship game as well. No?
No, don't remember it.
Okay, anyway, that sort of style.
So anyway, Rainbow Six.
But that sort of style where, yeah, you have to keep an eye on, like, you know, there's a hostage that you've spotted that's got guards, you know, there, and you need to sneak around and come at it from a different angle. But yeah, it keeps that on the screen the whole time. And
I like
or
the
you maybe
idea.
see a conversation happening or something, you know.
I like the idea that you don't actually get that vision or that live vision until you've been through that area. So once you've been through that area, then it becomes like a live vision, almost, that you've activated that area.
Right.
So you're not seeing stuff that you haven't yet seen because, you know,
I mean, I think the only reason that you might do that is just for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
It could be interesting if you like, yeah, you're going through the level and all of a sudden in from the side comes a scene you haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
And you don't know where it is in relation to everything else, right? Like in the physical space of the level, you just know that it's something else that's happening. And that could be kind of cool to have that as like foreshadowing.
So, are you picturing an analog or a digital clock? Or does it change depending on the level?
In one level, it's a sundial.
Well,
in one, it's a...
I'm thinking,
you know,
like...
hourglass.
In one, it is literally a countdown of how much... You know that the bomb is going to explode when it gets to one. You walk in and you know, okay, I've got 10 minutes to find this bomb.
Well, I like that. I like that. You walk in the very first section and immediately from the side comes the bomb. And it is that thing. You don't know where it is. It like zooms. It's on the bomb with the countdown, and then you get the two split screens coming out from it. One of them zooms out to sort of show a bit more context of the bomb, and one of them is just always zoomed in on the countdown, and you've got those two things on your screen at all times.
Yeah.
And then you're playing in like the left half of the screen until you get to the point where, because I like the idea of you're playing through these levels, you don't know where this bomb is. There's a door to the left, right? And when you finally find the way in, that it lines up perfectly. So the panes basically merge at that point.
And becomes just a long pane of,
Yeah, when you come through that door. There's some really slick stuff you could do with that sort of different cameras in a 2D level. And
I like the idea of, like, with the different clocks, like maybe one of them, you go, oh, that's a fancy looking watch face. And it's literally on the watch of like the big boss. So it's
right. You see them as they move around, but it's just like camera locked onto
the camera locked onto the face, but you see the arm sort of swinging, so you see some stuff in the background.
Just the blurred out background changing and stuff.
I kind of like that. I think, you know, all these little things could actually be kind of fun, that it's for you, the player, to see and experience, and it's just a stylistic choice. For those who haven't been listening before, like, sometimes we just don't use certain words, and in this case, we didn't use Stonia's foil at all because it wasn't needed.
I've forgotten. But yeah, no, that's it. The whole idea is it's a jumping point for us.
It's a jumping off point. So don't worry that we didn't use those words because they're now going away. 3, 2, 1, click.
Bye-bye. 15 destination.
Rusted workbench. I mean, that's really evoking, you know, a
rusted workbench. Yeah, for sure. Something like unused, abandoned in for some reason.
I'm thinking abandoned 15 years ago, or has been used for 15 years in an old worn shed. Getting that sort of that evokes, you know, something. Maybe you're heading back to an old farmhouse 15 years after your family evacuated this war zone.
Yeah. Okay. This could be kind of one of those very poignant kind of games where maybe it's not you making your way there. Maybe it's that maybe it actually is entirely set in this workshop. And like you said, 15 years after you had to abandon this place and you've now come back, maybe what's rusted up is like an old car or something, or like a motorcycle or whatever, and the workbench, some of the tools or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's it's about you restoring it.
Yeah.
But also restoring your life in this place that you had to leave. And there's been a new, we can keep the actual politics of it vague.
Yeah.
And even the place, it's not about specific world events.
No. It's just a nondescript farm with a rusted workbench, rusted car, and like storytelling of, newspaper clippings.
Well, and I think just even
conversations that just get held.
The radio on while you're fixing up the car, and conversations with people as you order the new parts that you need.
Today marks the 15-year anniversary since the war started,
Yeah, exactly. Giving that backstory, but then also the personal stuff that this person has gone through, and they've lost their family at different points, and you start getting some of that history in. Yeah. And just understanding their loss, and this is now all they have left to hold on to.
I like the idea that at the end of each day, it's sort of like you only sort of see from within the workbench. You don't see anything else, but as the door opens and you can sort of see in the background, slightly blurred, like a child coming to greet the person.
Yeah, you could give it a happier thing. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it's that. Maybe we mess with the player a little bit, where initially we imply a lot that this guy has lost his family, or or he's definitely lost some people. But yes, as time goes on, you realize, oh wait, maybe his child survived this. And then you find out they're coming later or whatever, they couldn't come yet because of visa things or whatever, or he was there first to try and get everything set up, and he's spending way too much time in the workbench the workshop. But that's the metaphor for it then, right? Is he wants to get this car fixed up, and then the right at the end, every other day, at the end of the day, like you said, I think the workshop opens and it's very washed out, because it's you're exposing for inside the workshop. And it's just been, pretty desolate out there. But on that final day, you see the blurred out figure in through the overblown light.
I'm thinking if this goes over a number of days, that you start with a slight sepia overtone, over everything, and as you get closer to the family coming back,
saturates more, and
saturates more, bring in a little bit more color in. Bring a little bit more colour in, and it's sort of like he's readjusting, or they are readjusting to the world. You don't even need to, you don't
even need to give him a gender.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm picturing a fairly plain, not plain, but a stylized art style, almost that no face kind of,
no face,
simple, not quite low poly, but
I know,
not highly detailed. You know what I mean?
Ashen, if you remember that game,
like that, or just an inside or something where it's
a silhouette. Maybe silhouette could actually work quite nicely. They don't need to.
That'd be really interesting, actually, playing this whole game and all you see is their silhouette. It's sort of the view.
Because for the majority of it, you don't even need to see too much of them, because
it sort of depends on what the gameplay is. I'm feeling like it's very just meditative gameplay in certain ways. It's you've got a to-do list for the day, and today we're cleaning out the gasket or whatever. I don't know anything about cars, but whatever it is. And there's sort of a restorative, meditative thing of just getting it clean and putting it back together correctly and placing it in there.
I mean, if you think about unpacking, like how simple that was.
Yeah,
if you could,
like an unpacking
if you could somehow
or assemble with care.
This is effectively is, you know, you're scraping the rust off with like, you know, some sort of wire brush or something like that, and you know, clean it off. It's kind of like power wash simulator and all this sort of stuff, except it's more like these are the things that you need to get done for the day, and you know,
or even like an auto mechanic simulator or whatever it is, where a lot of the time it's just like, here's the thing you do next to pull this apart or whatever, but we give it a bit more, you know, interesting story for why you're doing it.
Exactly. Just I think the you know, the world storytelling, like the storytelling from, or the incidental storytelling or whatever, however it is, you know, you got some basic simple music during things, and when you've cleaned, say, 2 items on day 1, then you get a news report coming over the radio.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very linear in that sense. And it's almost entirely through the environmental storytelling of those sorts of things. And I think the more personal stuff comes from, like maybe you have a phone call to, you know, the guy who's selling the auto parts or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're back, you know, because he stayed and hunkered down, and then you get a sense of what it was like for people who stayed versus people who left, and
you get one part, you know, in the mail, you take it out of the box and it's wrapped in newspaper. You unwrap the newspaper and the newspaper clipping is, you know,
it's like from 5 years ago or whatever, and you get a bit of context in the timeline.
Exactly. Like, all these small little things is just world building and all this sort of stuff, but it's also kind of, I don't know, cathartic, like...
I mean, not being a refugee from war, like I feel like there's a story to tell there that you know, I wouldn't have the details to go into personally, but I think it could be a very interesting way to tell a story, for sure.
Cool.
All right, 3, 2, 1, click.
3, 2, 1, click. That was fun. What was your other word?
Destination. So it kind of makes sense.
We kind of got there. Ooh, okay. Dislocated misinformation.
Nicest retirement.
Ooh.
So this feels like an elderly spy or something.
Yeah.
In like a old person's in a retirement home.
He's had a dislocated shoulder, so his arm is in a sling.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just a character trait. Like, you don't need to go too much more into the fact that I'm kind of thinking, and the first thing that, as soon as you said retirement, the first thing that came into my head, as it probably did with you as well, Bubba Hotep.
Right. No, it wasn't actually. The first thing that came into my head was that adventure game I was making 10 years ago.
Okay, yep.
A Wrinkle in Crime.
A Wrinkle in Crime. But yeah, I'm just thinking Don Coscarelli's Bubba Hotep. Something about, you know, this time it's an old, like, I mean, we can just say it now, James Bond. But, like, he's got a dislocated shoulder. Like, his shoulder's obviously bad. He's been shot in it so many times. But, and he feels like there's something not quite right. Like, there's some misinformation that's been spread around by the nurses as to why something's happening. And I like the idea that he's basically performing an investigation, trying to use, like, some of his old gadgets and that sort of stuff. Like, Q obviously died a long time ago, but you still got a picture of.
But like, he's got someone who comes and visits him, whose name is Quentin.
Yeah, and with a small Q, like little Q. It's Q.
He spells it without. Yeah, he doesn't. Like
he doesn't capitalize it because that was his dad.
Yeah. But we don't explain. We never say the word James or Bond.
No,
or 007.
You don't have to. You've got gadgets. He looks like Sean Connery.
Yeah. He speaks exactly like Sean Connery in James Bond.
No, he speaks like Roger Moore, but he looks like Sean Connery. And
with Pierce Brosnan's hair.
Exactly.
And Daniel Craig's abs.
Yeah, exactly.
Still at 87.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like, that shower scene in the game. Oh. Mwah. Chef kiss.
Sponge bath scene.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the sponge bath scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty spicy.
Yeah, spicy.
You know what? I think that one writes itself, and I feel like we should click it.
I thought we did a pretty good job in
I'm not saying it was bad. I just feel like everything that's been said about it should be said about it has been said. Double balance.
Dismantled. Crumble.
Okay. So double balance feels like some sort of co-op 2-player thing where you're like on either side of
a tightrope.
No, well, a tightrope. I was thinking like a seesaw sort of thing on a barrel or something that's like moving back and forth. But whatever we do, it feels like a 2-player version of something like Getting Up with Bennett Foddy or what, isn't it? Is that what it is?
Yep.
And there are similar games like this. Like there's that one where you're the penguins strapped together or something, and like one of these games where you rely on the other person. Yeah. Well, you rely on communication and working well together, but it's all about like balancing in some way.
Okay. Yep. I really like that.
Because like I'm sort of picturing two people. Maybe it's not like specifically on a single barrel thing, but like that whatever vehicle or whatever thing you're on is guided by the way that it balances in a certain way, and so you have to be communicating like, oh shit, like come over to the left side, like we need to guide it to the left, and then come over to the right. No, not too far.
Okay. It's got nothing to do with what you were sort of saying, but if you think about it the right way, this could actually be exactly what you just said. Okay. You get two people strapped to a rather tall, like, rocket or something like that, and it's top heavy. So as you both are trying to move it in 3 dimensions, I'm thinking, like it kind of becomes Death Stranding, where
it's really about the balance of it, and
it's all about the balance
directions.
Because because it's top heavy. Like, you both need to be moving in that direction and be communicating continuously, but you both are tied to it or chained to it, and therefore, like,
well, maybe this could be. This feels like a who's the developer who made It Takes Two and A Way Out. Anyway, whatever their name is, I feel like this could be one of their games where it's a number of different situations that you keep finding yourself in, where you are having to balance something, or like, so we can use both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got some big rocket, sure, like a missile. You've been strapped to the missile. You're a spy again.
I know, that's the first thing that came into my head.
No, I know what you mean.
I'm also thinking, what if you got strapped to, like, a sacrificial altar sort of thing? So you got like this massive cross. That's
that could be cool. Then maybe the idea is that you have to topple it, but in a specific place to like break through a wall that's got a crack in it or whatever. And it's like, okay, we have to work together to move it over there without it falling too early. And then you get out, and you're able to get out of your your restraints, and then you get in like a mine cart or like what something that you're having to balance left and right to get one wheel up off the ground at a time.
I know. I'm seeing the idea of both of you being handcuffed together. Still like you got one of them off, but it's like you're still handcuffed together. And as you're running, you got to make sure that you need to choose a side, otherwise you're going to clothesline,
Right. Yeah.
I guess the
challenge with a game like that is how do you make it so that a single failure is not like game ending and you have to restart a section? Because I feel like that could get really frustrating. Although I guess they kind of do that in like that Penguin game and stuff, because you end up like falling massively down to the start of the level when one person messes up.
It's like getting up or whatever,
yeah.
You can fall from the very, very top right down to the bottom, and then you just have to start all over again. And people put themselves through that sort of pain, all the time.
Yeah, and they'll try to speed run it, and
oh my god, they're insane. Like,
yeah, I mean, they've just got too much time on their hands. 3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah, bony mastermind.
Ooh, stretching teach. Like the idea of a bony mastermind, like some skeletal villain.
Oh yeah, someone who's so decrepit and has basically the skin hanging off him. You can literally see all the bones. He's got
they've figured out the secret to immortality essentially, but all it does is keep them animated and conscious. It doesn't actually prevent them.
The muscles are all atrophied years ago, and
it's only the pure magic keeping them going.
Yeah,
but they've still got all their faculties.
My God, I'm just, for some reason, I can see it as like in this university, everything looks great. But no one ever...
I did just say he's got all his faculties.
Yes.
So I was thinking of going... And then we do have a word that is teach. So yes, the university. Is he the dean?
He's the dean, but he's, in, like, the crypt underneath like, the dean's office. Like, he's got, like, a reanimated corpse or something like that actually playing the dean. And you wonder why there's lots of air
acting
fresheners.
Dean.
Like there's all these air fresheners and stuff in the room, and it's basically a puppet, and the real Dean,
flesh puppet.
Real Dean is underneath, in the bowels of this university.
Yeah,
I think there's like something nefarious going on.
So is this like a cross between Harry Potter and Diablo?
Oh yes,
it's a loot clicker game with the main story being that you're like a student at this university of the occult or something.
University of Dungeoneering or something like that.
Yeah, the University of Business. But in a fantasy world.
Fantasy business.
University of Tavern Running. That's the only business. And blacksmithing.
Fantasy Myob.
Fantasy Myob.
It's like, so open up
Mind
your fantasy
own
word
blacksmith.
processor. Fantasy Excel. Here we're going to do an index match. Sorry, fantasy index match.
We're going to do a fantasy PowerPoint to demonstrate how you should price your potions.
Okay, so I'm imagining that you get taken out on lots of different, like, little missions throughout, and although the missions seem, kind of good on the surface, the more that you look into it, the more sort of sinister, like... Yeah, we're supposed to be taking out these people, but these people are really not bad guys at all. Like, they're...
I like what you said, that it's the University of Dungeoneering, and I feel like you're doing classes, right? Like you're taking a class, and it's like, okay, today's class, we're going down to level 3 of the dungeon, and you need to kill 17 slimes. And you will be marked on a curve for this. So that kind of creates the game loop a little bit. But yes, as you like get into your 3rd year of university and you're now kind of got a lot of loot that you've gathered and you're really good at killing monsters down there or whatever, you start to get inklings of the things that are going on at this school and the fact that the dean's not actually the dean, and wait, this whole school is run by essentially this like villainous skeleton
necromancer
who's lived for like thousands of years, and then you're like skipping school to break into different dungeons. And
what if you found out that like what you were being taught is actually wrong, as in the real world this doesn't work, so like it only works on the school's dungeon.
The first real dungeon you go into, you just like you have to retreat immediately.
It's totally different mechanics in there, like.
So how will that work? So what are the mechanics that you've been playing? Like, so like
lockpicking works a certain way, and you get you got to lockpick the chest and all this sort of stuff. You can maybe, kill everything, but when you get into the real thing, it's like, oh, these locks, like, there's no quick release. Like, there's no way of like.
I think that'll work well as long as it feels like the actual mechanics are somewhat of an extension of the initial mechanics.
It's
not even just that it makes it harder, but it like, it's like, oh, I can apply what I learned to this little bit of it, but I need to understand the whole picture to actually be able to pick this lock or kill this monster, or the weak spots are different, or you have to learn the different ways that weak spots can manifest or something, and you only learned about one way because the school curriculum is actually fairly limited.
Well, the whole idea is to basically build a new breed of heroes that are just weak as anything for when
right it's
for when this guy tries to take over the world. Like they basically can't do shit, like.
Right, yeah, he's taken over the premier university for dungeoneering that pumps out all the heroes, and he's like, well, I'm just going to make him shit, and then no one will stop me. Little did they know.
So your mum, like, was literally the biggest hero that ever came out of this university, and so when she comes, like, for parent. Parent-child week or whatever it is. Yeah. She goes, oh, this isn't right. Like,
and it's like, Mom, things have changed since your day. It's fine.
And then
this is easy.
She basically she just taps like the chest on the top, and it just springs open.
I loosened that for you earlier.
Oh, fuck.
Teenagers don't listen.
That's really cool. I think that does bring us to the end of tonight, though.
I think it does. So, if you'd like to find all of our previous episodes on the lines, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. Shoot us a review and let us know what your favourite class at good old UOD was.
If you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure by the band Kuradust. Find it at kuradust.bandcamp.com.
That's right. So thank you for joining us again this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott.
And I can't scroll up to see what words we had earlier like I usually do.
Don't use Unity.
And don't use Unity. That's going to be slightly dated by a few days.